There are many ways that you can make money in real estate. According to IRS statistics, 99% of Americans who make over $1 million a year are invested in real estate in some way, shape, or form. So it doesn't matter how you make your money, it's really how you invest your money. So the Warren Buffetts of the world, the Jeff Bezos of the world, the Elon Musks of the world, everybody who has wealth is invested in real estate in some capacity. So there's different ways you can invest in real estate. You really want to figure out how much money you have to invest, what's your risk tolerance, what are your goals, how much time do you want to spend. There's no correct answer or one answer for everybody. There's a lot of different ways. So let me go over some of the ways that you can invest in real estate. The first and most common way is rental properties. So rental properties are great. A lot of people only look at the return on investment, but there's so many other things besides cash on cash return that you can look at. For example, you want to look at the appreciation potential. So real estate appreciates over time. So over any 10-year period, you'll see generally real estate is going up. You're going to have market times where it's up, market times that it's down, but if you look at it over a long-term period, real estate appreciates in value. Also with a rental property, you should be cash flowing, hopefully positive, to cover your expenses and your bills. That's the goal. So it's a steady stream of income, rental income, that you can have in your pocket. Also, with real estate, you have all kinds of tax benefits and tax deductions that you can take. So you have depreciation deductions, you can write off everything related to your property taxes, mortgage interest if you have a rental manager, utilities if you pay them and the tenant doesn't, any repairs, even driving to the property, anything like that can be written off against your income. So there's a lot of tax benefits to it. Depreciation is a non-tax deduction, so that's actually really nice because you have a property that will appreciate in value over time. However, you're taking depreciation deductions against your taxable income. The other pro to a rental property is that you have somebody else paying your mortgage. So you're going to have equity build up not just from appreciation over time, but you also have somebody paying down the principal amount on your mortgage every month, which is also building equity. So that's why rental properties are so lucrative, popular, because there's really three ways to make money with them. It's not just the return on investment that you look at in a rental property. There's a few cons you should be aware of when investing in a rental property. One is it can be time consuming to manage the property yourself. So you may want to look into getting a rental property manager if you don't have a lot of time on your hands, because getting tenants, managing tenants, you can have plumbing issues, maintenance issues, phone calls, that can be time consuming. So get a property manager if you don't have the time to put into that. The other thing you want to think about is vacancies. You want to minimize your vacancies. The best way to do that, I think, is to advertise the property in advance before your renter or tenant moves out for long-term rentals. So, depending on the market, you'll kind of know when you need to do that to minimize your vacancies. The other thing that you want to think about is liability. Obviously, a tenant could damage your property, you have risk of loss. You want to make sure that you talk to the appropriate professional, a good insurance broker who specializes in rental properties to get you the proper coverage for the property, but also for the liability. Be mindful if someone has a pet or if they have a lot of contents for the rental property. We usually require people to get renter's insurance and also dog bite coverage. If they have a pet, it's just safe, it's not that expensive, and it's a requirement that we do for all of our tenants in our properties. So one of the things I want to talk about is vacation rentals, as known as short-term rentals, as known as Airbnbs, right? Airbnb was the first platform. Now we have multiple platforms like VRBO and others out there, but it still has kind of the term is Airbnb property. Those are great. Vacation rentals are awesome. You want to understand the market you're investing in, if it's oversaturated, if it has too much inventory as opposed to the demand. Do an analysis on that. There's certain very lucrative areas in the country you can invest in vacation rentals. A lot of people also do hybrid things where they look for places they want a vacation and then they purchase a vacation rental, rent when they're not there, use it a lot. So that's also an option. That's something that my husband and I have done, and we really, really enjoy that. I have a lot of friends who have done that, and it's really neat to have your own place you can go and then rent it when you're not there. So with short-term rentals, you just want to be mindful that you have the right licenses. You want to also make sure that short-term rentals are allowed in the area because there's rules and regulations. Every city, county is different. So just make sure you know what you're getting into. There's also down periods, there's lulls. Every area has highs and lows. For example, Orlando in May and September is the lowest time for the rentals, so the rates go down to increase occupancy, but then you have peak times over the summer and over the holidays. So you just want to know your area and when you're going to have it. Are you a seasonal type, vacation rental property? Does it snow half the year? Nobody wants to come during that time. Will you make enough revenue to make up for that in the other times? What's your goal? How much are you putting in? What's your return? And as always, a great property manager, great rental manager. I suggest, because there's a ton of rental managers out there, that if you like a certain area, go on Airbnb, go on VRBO, look at the companies that are renting successfully, look at their calendars, look at what they're doing in that area. And then if you see some that you are doing really well, interview them. Those are the ones who are already doing it there. So instead of just picking a rental manager who maybe isn't familiar with the area, I think that's a really good strategy to find a good rental manager if you don't have one. If you want more information, I have a full complete guide on how to invest in short-term rental properties on my channel. So please just go ahead and look for it for more information. Another type of real estate investing that's becoming very popular and can be very lucrative is multifamily. So these are apartments, apartment buildings. Generally, they have less upkeep costs, lower maintenance. For tenants, will pay leases to cover certain things. So if you don't have enough money to buy your own apartment building or you don't qualify for a loan to do that, there are also syndications you can invest in to invest specifically in multifamily properties. It's very lucrative. There's a ton of people. Everybody needs a place to live. So it's something that's never going to go away, and I highly suggest you look into it if you want to look into more creative real estate investing. The second way you can make money in real estate is flipping properties. This sounds really sexy. Everybody watches the shows on HGTV and they make it look super easy. They cut out all of the mundane in the middle stuff, take it from someone who used to flip properties. It is definitely not as sexy as it looks on TV, and it's a lot more time consuming. So I suggest that you consider, this type of investment for experienced real estate investors, somebody who has a team, someone who really has done this before, who can educate you, good contractors. A good GC is always a positive thing. So you just really want to understand what you're doing before you get into it. If you really understand what you're doing and you're able to get a property under market, under contract, you understand what it needs to be done to get the highest possible sales value, and you have a plan over a period of time and factor in your holding costs and other things that you're going to have, obviously, to factor in your selling costs. You want to make sure you're doing an investment that is likely going to make a profit for you. But it is a very lucrative way to make money quickly, under a year. And some people are very successful at this. They do multiple projects at a time and are doing very well. There are some risks involved though. The market can turn. The market can take a turn to where it's harder to sell the property. It might take longer to sell the property than you like. You might not be able to make as much money as you thought. So I try to take a conservative approach personally, and kind of factor those type of things into my analysis before I would even pull the trigger on a property. One of the things you can do to mitigate some of these risks in flipping properties is having multiple exit strategies. So it's a good idea to potentially prepare to rent the property. If you're unable to sell it and something happens and the market turns, you can rent the property so at least you're cash flow positive if you don't have to get that capital back out right away while you're trying to sell it. So be creative. This is for experienced investors. Don't get in over your head. Learn from those that have come before you. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. There's no magic sauce. There's a lot of factors that you have to think about. So just be careful when you're flipping, but it is a very lucrative way to make money in the right markets and the right timing with the right team. Another method of making money in real estate is called wholesaling. This is also very sophisticated. You really need to know what you're doing, but instead of doing the fix and flip where you're doing all the work to fix it up and get it ready to resell, what you're doing is getting the property under contract and then assigning it to another buyer. There's multiple ways to do this, and making an assignment type fee for procuring that property for another person and getting it under contract for them at a certain price. Now, the risk is that you don't find someone else to buy that property, and then you have to really be ready to close on it if you have to. This is also for more sophisticated investors, but people that don't want to do all the fix and flip type work. Dealing with contractors can be stressful. Ask me how I know. But wholesaling is not that easy. It sounds easy. There's a lot of big companies out there that are investing tons of money on platforms and people who are looking at the market every second of every day and creating lists and getting things under contract and have it as a machine. So it's hard to compete against those. It's hard to compete against the people that are investing in auctions as well, because they have systems down. So just make sure you know what you're getting into and what your competition is, and if you want to investigate wholesaling. I want to give you guys an easy, simple, very hands-off way to make money in real estate, and that is investing in a REIT. What is a REIT? A REIT is a real estate investment trust. There's actually a lot of REITs that exist on the stock market. You want to do your research. Real estate's a pretty safe asset because it's generally not going to go to zero. It's going to have a value. It's a tangible asset. And there's a lot of really good REITs out there you can invest in. There's also private REITs you can invest in. You can do your research. There's certain syndications you can do and invest in those. There's other ways you can invest with like a minimum investment, pooling money with other people. Sometimes you have to be an accredited investor to qualify. So just look into that. But that's a nice passive way to invest in real estate, and it's a lot less work. One of the real estate investments that many beginner real estate investors don't think about is vacant land. Now, vacant land is a very lucrative investment. The only negative is that it's not going to be like a rental property, cash flowing asset. However, if you can find land in up and coming areas and you can find the capital to purchase land, it can be a very lucrative investment. And there's a lot of places that we found in Central Florida where we personally have had clients who have invested in land. Ourselves, we've invested in land, and that land is appreciated at a rapid pace. You kind of got to look at where people are moving, where people are building, what's going on in the area. You can kind of predict where they're going to expand to next. Those are the areas you want to buy the land. If you're able to hold them for a couple years, ideally, you can really, in some cases, people have even doubled their money, which has been amazing, or at least even a 50% return. It's very lucrative over a couple years. However, you do have capital that's tied up in it, so you have to figure out how you can finance that, or if you can figure out a way to get a cash plot. There's lands of all different values all over, so don't count that out. Look at vacant land. That is, over time, one of the most lucrative investments you can have in real estate. Other things that are in real estate that people are investing in is new construction. So a lot of other, you can partner with a builder and invest in new construction projects. Maybe even partner with a builder and buy a plot of land and have them build the house and figure out the financing and then sell that house. So there's other ways that you can get into new construction as well. So there's different things. There's crowdfunding, there's commercial real estate. So we just went over a few things in this video, but there's a lot more ways. And so do your research and figure out all the ways you can make money in real estate. It's very lucrative. Don't sit on the sidelines. Don't wait. This is the way that most people that are wealthy are making money, is in some capacity they're invested in real estate. So what does that tell you? That tells you that you should be invested too. I have a full strategy for each type of real estate investment that I talked about today. Please call me. We can tailor the investment to you. I'm happy to strategize and share more information. So contact me today and we'll help you get started.